right.
Bonnie?
John Garvin. Frankie Hargis. Wanda Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Lay. Curtis Snell. David Thornton. Victoria Vasquez. Dave Washington. Brian Warner.
Bonnie?
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. You were mailed a copy of the November 14th regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion to be approved.
A motion and a second to approve the November 14 minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, brings us to our reports, and we'll hear from Sean Slayton. See what happened last night, since we heard from him last.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, there's not a lot happened since last night, but I do want to cover a few items with you this morning. Our first 2 months of 2017 have kind of gone like we talked about. We're $1.5 million ahead of our budget, but we're behind last year. 2016 was a fantastic year, and I think I've said early on that our outlook on 2017 is flat as up with the competition that's come in with the economic factors that we're facing. We are seeing a little slowdown in some of the smaller properties, but we're looking to Grove to help pick up the slack there, and looking forward to that opening on Monday, hopefully. Beyond that, we're winding up our projects, and those are winding down. And so we're looking for the next big thing for us as a company. We're watching the transition in presidents, trying to understand what impact that will have on our federal business, the diversified businesses. Hopefully that will be to our advantage, but you never know with what's going on. So we're watching that very closely and are hopeful that if anything, it will help us with using our 8A advantages. On the gaming side, we've looked around the 14 counties, and we see our growth opportunities outside the 14 counties in terms of maybe getting into some of the management of some other casinos for tribes or other companies that are struggling or need some help there. So we have a team that's out looking for business outside the 14 counties as well. So we continue to try to grow the company and push it forward. That's my report. If you have a question, I'll be glad to answer it.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Slayton? Okay, Councilor Buzzard.
Sean, those houses over at West Allen Springs, I have brought it up to Gary Cooper for the last 3 months. And when are those going to be turned over? Do you have any insight on what we're waiting on, or
Yes,
what
a
the
little
story
bit.
is? Okay.
At least the story I'm getting.
Okay.
We turned the Roland over to the Housing Authority and the bank, and they did all the title work and all that.
Yeah.
The last report I have is they've moved 20 families out of 29 homes. Out of 29 homes, they moved 20 families in there, and they're still working on the other 9. The title work and all that goes with that, which we don't have any part of or control of with Bank 2, who is the financier of the project, is about to wrap up on Siloam any day.
Okay.
And then Viam will be right behind that. But for whatever reason, they took a bite one at a time on that. And my understanding is with Siloam that they've got people ready to go with that too. So we're getting closer. We wanted them in there for Christmas, but
Yeah. Well,
we got a third of it done up at Roland.
well, that's the most I've got in the last 3 months that I've been asking.
Okay.
Thank you for those answers.
You're welcome, and that's the story I have.
Okay. Well, good. At least I know I couldn't get anything out of Mr. Cooper. The other thing is on the Grove Casino. Have we set a time or anything that we're going to do this on a Monday yet? Or?
No, And we're hoping for Monday, but like I
Okay.
said last night, when you get right down to
I understand.
the deal, you're
So-
depending on a lot of people.
So they'll shoot us an email?
Yes, sir.
What goes on?
Yes, sir. And it'll be a soft opening. We won't,
Okay.
we won't broadcast it on the radio
Oh, I've
or
had
TV.
people asking me and
Oh, I
asking me
bet.
and asking me. I said, well, I'm opening on Monday, on the 19th. so
And up to me.
You may even have more people show up there than we think.
Well, usually that's what happens.
The word gets around. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Anglin?
Thank you. Hey, Sean, has CNB ever considered like this convenience store that you have over here now?
Yes, sir.
I think that looks great. Have they ever considered maybe going into other areas and putting those small venues in?
Yes, sir.
business and stuff?
I didn't mention that because I really wasn't ready to unveil that yet. But now that you bring it up, one of the other things that we can do is look at maybe some offerings of a tribal type travel stop or outpost at some of the other smaller communities. You know, you kind of got to watch what you do there so that you don't step on other people's toes and livelihood and all that goes with that part of it. But to your point, yes, we are looking at that.
'Cause I think that looks great, and that'd be great to have some of those in our areas, you know.
Well, thank you. It turned out good, I think.
We need to put Quick Trip out of business.
You done?
Yeah, thank you.
Counselor Crittenden?
John, pardon me for not understanding how these houses come about. You know, the Siloam,
Mhm.
Roland, Vine, what you say? Can you just give a brief, how you came about that? And underlying thing I'm trying to say is, it seems like when you get ready to build houses, by golly, they go up. And houses get built. So, you know, like I say, the bottom line is, you got any plans for the Stillwell area?
Sure. Well, you know, I guess there's a housing problem within the nation, and we were asked to see what we could do to help with that. There were 3 sites that were picked out: Siloam, Roland, and Vian. And we didn't know anything about building homes. We built casinos, but we figured it was a pretty easy transition from one to the other. And we found out that wasn't quite true. You know, the end product is fantastic for the people. It was a painful process getting here, and we learned a lot of lessons. I'm not sure the businesses are the best place for a community type, neighborhood type development to happen. That's just really not our forte. However, you know, as always, if we're asked to do something, we try to do that. As far as plans for other areas, I'm not aware of that right now. We had 3, we bit that off, we chewed that up, and to Harley's point, it's taken a little longer than we anticipated getting those into people's hands. So we'll get these out of the way, and then if we're asked to do something, we'll look at that.
Again, pardon my ignorance on this, but so was the land Indian land that you built these on?
Roland was not, Vian was not, and I think Siloam was not. I think those, I'm not sure about Siloam, but I don't think it was.
On our housing, you know.
Siloam could have been, because I think that was back there on the back side of our property, so we may have had Siloam in trust, but I don't believe Roland and Vian were.
Councilor Warner brought that up yesterday about the rental assistance. You know, it's a tough deal. In my area, the housing, you know, I don't know how many calls I get a week about it, but, you know, right now it's not fun to say, welcome to the waiting list world.
Right.
And it's just like a lot of areas, there's housing problems. And
Sure.
And in the rural area that I teach in, there's a lot of, you know, there's different terms, Indian land I call it right now. That's not prime area for businesses, but golly, I could see I could see some houses there to kind of, that was my reason for asking, and so.
Sure. I will say this, the sites that were chosen are for some of the reasons that it's hard to build in your area. The utilities were already there. The cities already had the water, sewer, gas, just right there. We didn't have to build something to them or things like that. And that's kind of what you run into if you do sort of custom homes, scattered around. They're just harder to do, and a lot just because of that reason.
That's pretty impressive when you set your mind to do that. By golly, them houses came up, so that's what I was noticing. So,
We
thank
learned
you.
a lot, I'll put it that way.
Thank you.
Counselor Hatfield?
You mentioned you could possibly go outside the 14 county area. Is that Oklahoma or the U.S.?
The United States, yeah. We have a group that we formed, just like some of the other tribes do that. Some of the other Oklahoma tribes do that. And so it's kind of a niche that we would like to get into. So we've had a couple of bites, just haven't hooked the right one yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy.
Counselor Vasquez?
Yes, Sean, regarding the convenience stores, don't forget about South Coffeyville. That'd be an excellent spot.
Right. Well, yes, it would.
Is that it? Mr. Warner?
Yes, I just would like to add to the conversation and what Sean and Sean were having, that I've talked with folks at CNB, and I know one of the big problems that I see for the housing is the affordability on the individuals. And I just want to let everybody know that I visited with some folks. I went to a housing conference last week looking at alternative methods to building these things, and trying to find new innovative ways to cut those costs for the individuals. And I know you guys, everybody that I've talked to on your team, they told me that's kind of the direction of what they're looking at, because we want to be able to provide houses, but we want to be able to keep those people in those houses. And I think that's that sustainability factor that I think we always can ever. That's where, when the housing authority builds, and we know what those cost, there's another cost that goes to these other homes. So, I appreciate the efforts that you guys have put forth to make it affordable. So, thank you.
Counselor Garvin has something to add.
Sean, yesterday we were talking about the cow business, and I don't know if they presented it to you or not, but we've been told that the council shouldn't be in the cattle business or any other kind of business. Have they talked to you about the?
They just briefly mentioned there's an opportunity out there that the nation would get in that, and I think my response to them was, I've got 67 that I'll be glad to sell the council and the nation if they want to get in. We can start with my herd. I don't know what to tell you on that. Kind of back to the houses. When I got into it, I thought it was easy. I certainly learned a tough lesson there. So I know we don't have any expertise in the cow business.
Well, it'll probably be coming your way. I don't think the council.
Well, we'll look at it, but I don't know who would look at it. All we do is eat the cows. We hadn't raised any.
You surely got some cowboys there somewhere.
Well, I don't know. I do know one, actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Sean? All right.
All right.
Go do what you do.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas to you.
And you should be getting your holiday invitations for the New Year's bash shortly. Thank you.
All right, Lacey, you've been sitting there just dying to tell us something good.
I actually have some really good news. All right. So in 2006, Cherokee Nation did a bond issuance to construct the Muskogee Clinic and to build additions at the Nowata Clinic and the Redbird Smith Clinic in Salisaw. And for years, we've gone through a process because we have a formal bond issuance where we have to go through bond ratings calls. So my team and I, CNB, Amy Sams and Health, we had to participate on annual bond ratings calls a few years ago, we actually received an upgrade on our bond rating to BBB. And we also, as part of that bond issuance, had all of our third-party revenues collateralized. And so, as part of our new deal to issue debt to build the new Hastings joint venture project, we included an amount within that loan to refinance the bond issuance. That way, that would refinance us from 4.6% debt down to 2.9% debt, and also relieve us of those restrictions of the third-party revenue collateralization, as well as the formal bond ratings calls that we would need to undertake to keep us legal with our investors. And so on December 1st, we had an option in our bond issuance to recall the remaining outstanding bonds, which was approximately $12 million. And so we issued a letter to our investors through our trustee, Bank of Oklahoma, and recalled all of those bonds on December 1st. So we've officially extinguished that debt and refinanced that at a much lower rate with much lower restrictions. And as you all know, our loan with Bank of Oklahoma to construct the Hastings joint venture project is an incredible deal that does not have near as many legal restrictions as our bond issuance does. So we feel like we made a good deal there. So I thought about this, and I thought about, do I announce this? Do I let communications announce this on Facebook? And I thought we'd put a picture of the Muskogee Clinic, and we put paid in full. So anyway, I just wanted to share that good news with you. Congress and the Senate passed a continuing resolution that will take us through almost through the end of April. So that's good news for us. So that'll keep our funding levels constant as we transition in a new president, and we continue to tell our story to members of Congress and keep them apprised of what Cherokee Nation does with the federal dollar, how we've got such a low overhead rate, and how 89 cents of every federal dollar that we receive here at the tribe goes to creating a job or providing a service. And so we continue to tell that story and share that message so that whenever they look at appropriations and tax reform and how the country is going to pay for itself over the course of the new presidency, that we are not forgotten, and hopefully our funding streams and the trust responsibility that the federal government owes to us is protected. So just to keep you up front that we are sharing that message. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Council President?
Just so I understood what you said, Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
So we have no outstanding bond commitments now?
No bonds.
Good news. The other thing is on the financing through Oklahoma Bank is 2.9%.
Correct.
That's great.
Yes.
So third-party revenue is freed up.
Correct.
Wow, it's good. Good news.
So the loan that we just entered into was just a general obligation of the tribe.
That's that. Good. The other, I have one thing.
Sure.
And this is about inventory stuff. When do we look to give out some more
Some
excess
surplus?
equipment? Yes. I've had some people
We
call
we actually have a list ready to
Okay.
go. We're kind of holding that list in escrow a little bit to
Okay.
make sure that we've got enough furniture to outfit the upstairs
Okay.
spaces,
Okay.
so that we're not taxing our budgets with
Okay.
having to buy new furniture when we've got some. So I do apologize. I know
Okay.
that's a little bit later than usual, but we just want to make sure that we're not sending anything out that we could put to use upstairs.
Well, this is great news. I'm just, that's really, really good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, Lacey, thank
All
you.
right, appreciate it.
Appreciate you. We'll see you next month. All right, Diane.
I just want to say that we are really excited. We had a series of meetings with C&B on construction related to business and economic development projects. Whenever C&B is looking at doing some of the construction, they're also looking at doing something for our people that are actually going to be doing some of the labor. I know that some of y'all have talked about apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship training. We're venturing off into identifying pots of money that may be out there through the Department of Labor that we can tap into. We've got the CCCER, which is the construction. There was like 125 construction groups that went together, and about 7 years ago, they formed an entity that's tied in with all the VOTECs, so that if you're working on a long-term construction project, similar to what we're going to be working on with the hospital project, if you hired someone, they could actually work under someone with a license and clock those hours toward a pre-apprenticeship certification, so that when that project's completed, then they could actually be marketable to go work on another project. I know that Councilman Snell had talked about this back at one point in time, and I think maybe even you did as well, Councilman England, about that from the construction end of it. So when you have a long-term project, this could be something that could be done. Flintco had reached out to them. They met with us. We've had a series of meetings, and yesterday we met with Chief Baker. Chief was very supportive of it. We have a lot of work to do between now and a couple of months. We do have a meeting scheduled with Department of Labor to look at those avenues that are out there for this. So we're pursuing it. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but everybody's on board with it. And as it progresses, I will come back and let you know. But it would be from the standpoint of making these people more marketable, because that certification would go anywhere in the United States. It wouldn't just be here in Oklahoma. So we're excited about that. We worked on a project about a week ago. The Tulsa Chamber reached out to Chuck Garrett and I about putting together another proposal for a potential business that may be up in the Owasso, Tulsa area. We put another package together. We've got about 5 that are sitting out there in the pipeline right now. There's 2 or 3 that we should hear something after the first of the year, whether or not they are in the running or if we need to go back to the drawing board and add more stuff to the proposal. But we've got about 5, and I think now we have it down so that when we do get those calls, there's kind of a boilerplate that we can pull from. And I know that Chuck and them have a team up there that is first class when it comes to pulling all this information together and putting those packages together. So I'm real pleased with what we've been able to do in the several months that we've been working on these projects from an economic development standpoint. Some of you all called about the Taro office, who's running it, who's doing what. I've split it out. Willard Mounts is taking care of all of the administrative support for Taro. He is the one who will be here at the council committee meetings. He's the one that will be working with the certification committee. He'll be working with the EEOC piece of it, any of our Davis-Bacon reports, OFCCP piece of it, and Larry Vance, who came over from CNB, will oversee the commercial side of it. And he'll be the one that'll be going to all the bid awards, and he'll be working on all of the compliance with the construction. So they will actually be tag teaming it and going in those directions. Do y'all have any questions?
Diane, you mentioned that Flintco is doing some of these trainings.
No, no. Flintco was at the meeting yesterday. They are working with us to help develop this apprenticeship.
Okay.
Because they have they're the general, I guess they're the general, whatever you call it, for the hospital project. And so any of the subcontractors that they're going to be working with after they've been identified, we would actually have to do a presentation for them. But we've got a lot of work to do in identifying, working with this group out of Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and then also working with CNB, because when you do an apprenticeship, it has to be with the business entity itself on the certification process.
And the reason I brought this up, I saw where Flintco was giving some seminars into our clinics. And I'm concerned when I saw that, because Flintco is not an Indian-owned firm anymore. And so what I'm asking is, have we give the other Indian-owned construction companies those same benefits?
I think you're referring to probably those construction meetings that they had.
Yes.
I think Brian Cooper, who is kind of like, he's working with Flintco, and Brian's the one who was actually spearheading those.
Okay. I
And he
guess
was
what
at our
caught-
meeting yesterday.
Yeah, what caught my eye was Flintco, the name Flintco. Brian Cooper is an in-the-known firm, and I'm happy for Brian, but Flintco is not, and I don't want to see him being put out there as an in-the-known firm. And I know that's not your forte, but I think a lot of people see that, because Flintco used to be in-the-known.
Well, they're
It's not
the
anymore.
ones that's working with Brian Cooper on the
Yeah.
project. And so they were actually reaching out in those various areas. But I was going to tell Councilman Lay, if he had been here, Larry Vance, as a result of a phone call from one of the council members, Larry went through and looked at all of the taro vendors in that respective area. He personally sent postcards or letters
Oh, okay.
to all those people.
Good.
And we had a really good turnout at the one that he did that for.
Okay,
Now,
good.
it wasn't our project, but we just did it because one of the council members called us about it in that area. And there was a really good
Well,
turnout
that was
as a
my
result
concern
of it.
about it, because I know, and probably most of the people sitting at this table know that Flintco used to be an in-and-known firm, but they're not anymore, and I know Brian is, so. Anyway, that was just a concern, that
Okay.
we're being fair to all of our,
Yeah,
especially
but we
in-and-known
are working
contractors.
with them, and we're hoping that as a result of the partnership with the NCCER, because they are nationally accredited through the VOTEC system
Okay.
and through the construction piece of it, that we have a better chance of getting any kind of funds for apprenticeship. And we're also looking at any kind of green that's out there as well.
Well, that was my concern, is that our in-and-known firms had the same opportunities as Flintco. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Diane? If not, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
All right, Anna.
Morning.
Morning.
I did just want to update you today. I don't know if any of you have heard yet, but Donna Tennant, who managed the holiday, she's transferred to CNB. And so Bailey Wright has been detailed to her position, and Bailey has worked with Donna the last 2 years on the holiday. And so she'll do a great job of continuing on all the good work that Donna did and continuing to make improvements. I also wanted to let you know that the set planning initiative that we were working with the communities in Cherokee, Adair, Delaware, and Sequoia counties is we finished a plan, and their focus is agribusiness, healthcare, and tourism, and we've submitted that plan to USDA, and they give us feedback, and they actually approve the plan. And then once they approve the plan, anyone applying for grants in those 4 counties that address one of those industries or address that strategic plan actually get extra points. And looking at the possibility of maybe doing another set planning area along Highway 69. With the counties along Highway 69, we'll see what kind of interest there is, because this does have to be a community-led planning effort. Also, the NORA is going to have a legislative reception in Oklahoma City this year, which is going to be good, on February 21st, and I'll send you guys more information about that. And then they'll have a legislative day. And so they really want the legislators to focus on the rural issues in northeastern Oklahoma. And then as a rural 14-county area, we have as much of a population as the Tulsa area does, and we should get as much attention. Also, we're going to work with I2E, and they're going to hold a special training program, and we're going to do we're going to do it here in the Cherokee Nation. I'm not sure exactly where yet, but focusing on 6 Cherokees that they'll provide training to. It's about a 3-week training course, but they're focusing on high growth and high employment companies. So if you have any thoughts about Cherokee-owned businesses that might fit that bill, we'll be doing some publicity on it, trying to help them recruit those businesses. And then based on where the businesses are from, we'll determine where we hold the training courses. But they'll do 1 a year for the next 3 years. The last thing I just wanted to point out from the report is that with the loans we made almost $2 million in small business loans last year, and we have almost $1 million already approved for this year. pending closing. So that's the loan, the need for small business capital just continues to grow. And basically, with the $750,000 that we have approved this year, in the last 6 years, we've invested $10 million in native-owned small businesses, and trying to help them either start up or grow and expand in their community. So, other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you ever do follow-ups on those businesses that you make loans to 3 years later? What was the effect of this expansion money or this startup money?
We always follow up with them as long as they have the loans with us. What we're doing is we have started doing a little bit of a better job in trying to capture information from them regarding the growth of their sales and the growth of their employees. So that is something that we're beginning to track and put within our software system that we purchased or that we installed in the last year or so, has the ability to capture all of that information. So hopefully by this time next year we'll have much better information about the success rate of those businesses and how they've grown.
And do you do a similar, I know with the MAP program, there's extensive training that goes in, so these people understand you're a first-time home buyer, it's not, there's a lot of responsibility, are you really ready for it? Do you do any type of training like that with the small business loans, particularly for the startup? If it's expansion, they kind of know what they're getting into, but I think a lot of people have this dream about going into business, but they have no idea what all it entails.
We do a lot of that. We do both training on the when we work with them on their business plan, and we have on staff 4 business coaches now. And so it really is a coaching process. So that way, when we submit the loan package, we feel good about it before we submit it to the loan committee, to the trust authority's loan committee. And we also put into place a coaching plan, particularly for startups over the next couple of years. We developed that with the entrepreneur. So that way we do continue with their training and we continue with their monitoring. And depending on the vulnerability of their business determines how much contact we maintain with them and interaction that we maintain with them after the loan closing.
They do have somewhat of a safety net to, when things come up, they've got somebody there, the coach, to kind of help them through it.
Right, and the Growth Wheel program that we've implemented over the last year really helps us direct that ongoing coaching. Okay. And helps the entrepreneur think through the issues that they're having, and then work with the coach to come up with resolutions to those issues.
Very good. Gives them a better probability for success, I would think. All right, Councilor Warner.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for reaching out, getting somebody to reach out to the individual down in Sequoia County. I appreciate you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Harley?
And on our loan program, I had a question about foreclosure. You never report, have we ever had foreclosure? Are we that good, or do we have to call some loans in?
No, we charge loans off. We charge loans off every.
I'd like to see that.
Every year.
I would like to see.
Our charge-off rate is typically maybe around 2%. And so it's actually. It's very low for the type of lending that we do, because we do a lot of high-risk lending. And we do, they're submitted we report in our regular report at the end of the year when we charge off loans.
Okay, I guess I missed that.
And we don't give you the actual loans that we charge off. And to be honest with you, the majority of loans that we charge off are employee loans.
I kind of figured that.
They leave,
because,
yeah.
And the reason I say that, years ago, we used to have this mechanic shop over here. And we would do the mechanic work for employees, charge hundreds of dollars over it, and those are the ones you didn't get paid. I don't know why we couldn't get it from the employees. I mean, we got ways of getting it, looks to me like.
Well, unless they have significant amount of annual leave built up when they leave their employment, we don't have any other way.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
and those are unsecured loans. I mean,
Yeah.
their security is their paycheck here, so that's one of the reasons why we don't approve all the employees for employee loans, because we look at a lot of
Maybe
different
we need to-
factors.
Maybe we need to redo the loan commitment of the thing and do something like that, because that really disturbs me that we have employees alone.
And we even have employees that continue to work here that file bankruptcy on us, and so we lose out on their loans. But yeah, I'll pull the last year's report
Okay.
and
I'd
send
like
it
to see
to
it,
you,
yeah,
because
but, yeah.
it gives you the number and it gives you the percentage of loans.
Okay.
And yeah.
But is there anything that you can do about getting recovery from employees other than
Well,
what we're doing now?
if we can find them and if they owe us enough money, then we do. We work with the AG's office and we go after them. But if they don't owe us that much money, then it's not feasible for us to spend the money to engage the AG's
But,
office.
and I kind of knew that because I remember when we used to have the old mechanic shops here years ago when I first started working. That was a big.
But
thing.
every lender charges off loans.
Yeah. And I guess
Yeah.
2% is not bad. So
No,
anyway.
it's not. It's not bad at all.
The other thing is on the J grant money that you've got up there. Where are we on the sewer and the road extension there?
On the sewer, they are, that's actually, they're having, Billy Hicks is helping us with that, and so he's working on the pre-construction meeting
Okay.
with the vendor.
Oh.
And so we should be moving forward fairly quickly on the
take the
sewer project, weather
environmental
permitting.
design,
All of that is all taken care of. And then we probably will wait until early next spring in order to do the lighting and to do the road work. Michael Lynn's helping us with that piece of it, and it's actually going to be the county that's going to do the road work. And with the grant money, they should be able to pave around the new building, or not pave, but lay the road around the new building, and it'll also almost resurface all the roads in the industrial
And
park.
I
so.
talked to Michael about that. Make sure that we do it all, and I could help out and do it. Mighty fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions for Anna? All right.
All right, thank you.
Keep up the good work. Okay, moving on to our consent items. Tarot certification list was put on your desk. Good to go, Willard? Good to go. Okay. Got a motion and a second on approving the tarot list. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition to that? You also got a new community assistance list handed out to you this morning. Check over, be sure you got everybody on there you need on there. Yes, Counselor Warner.
Yes, I'd like to add a couple.
Okay, talk to Jody.
Let's see, Fluke Springs Community Building, 500, Jody. And then the Marble City Community Center, 500.
$500 each.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Buell.
Thank you. Jody, I'd like to add the Sperry Kiwanis Club for 500. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Rex.
D.D. Etcherson it should be split between me and Walking Stick. It's on there. It should be split between me and Walking Stick.
Okay, the 500, okay. Okay.
Everybody else good? Okay.
I make a motion they be approved. Second.
Got a motion and a second on community assistance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, we did have a couple of new things on the law enforcement funds. It looks like just Victoria and myself. So unless anybody has anything to add to that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for law enforcement. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, we got a new roads memo this morning.
Road number 4015 for Mr. Lay was added. from
Other
the
than
original
that,
list.
if everybody looked at the projects in your book and they're good, pass it. Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second on roads. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, there were some new sports teams passed out this morning also.
Make a motion to be approved.
Got a motion and a second for sports teams. All those in favor? Any opposition? Livestock did not change. So we can go on to our budget mods. Jack, could you handle those for me, please?
Yes. Item 1, under new business, is the capital budget mod, and it's nothing but adding grants. So make a motion that it be approved.
Got a motion and a second on the first budget mod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that one passes.
On the next one is a regular budget mod. It's mod 3, and it also is $132,000 in grant and no other changes. So make a motion that it be approved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the operating budget mod, say aye. Okay. Jody, I know Teddy has stepped out, Gail and Carla. Could you guys just come out, and Diane and Shelley, if you would join them. We'll be brief because we have a big party coming up, but this is our staff that does everything for us. They take care of us, and so the council as a whole has taken up a collection to give them a little bit of Christmas, but we do want to thank our staff for what they do for us. So thank you. Teddy is our publicist who goes to our community meetings, makes us look good all the time, and we appreciate her. Gail is our mama. Anything done, Gail will do it, and you don't mess with Gail's kids. Shelley is our legislative aide, keeps all of our minutes, keeps us legal, as does Diane, our attorney. Jody's our accountant. All your money questions go to Jody first before they come to me, or sometimes they come to me and then they go to Jody. And Carla answers all your phone calls and just in general takes care of us. So we want to thank you for all that you do for us and wish you Merry Christmas. Thank you all. Okay, with that, if anybody has any announcements, now's the time.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, our next meeting is when? January 16th at 3 p.m. All those in favor of adjournment? Any opposition? We're adjourned. Oh, you can stay, Kurt.